Today is lesson 9. We've gone over our midterm. So we're looking at different ways we can link or embed one PHP file in another one. So we can make our code more modular and reuse elements within different areas of our website. So we found 4 functions: include once, that let us link to a file. Include lets us do it multiple times, even though that's not a common use case. Include once lets us do it once. Require also lets us link, but throws an error. The file to be linked isn't found. So include will throw a warning, and require will throw an error. So require once. Also, all of these link another file to the current page. One time, it throws an error. To be linked isn't. Okay, I'll save these on Blackboard. So realistically, we can use any one of these. I will probably use require, because the way we're going to use these functions and put our site together, things aren't really going to work if a linked file is missing. If we delete the file or we get the name wrong, we want an error to occur. So let's open up our PHP site, our PHP Flick site. Stuff. So first thing we want to do is we want to create a header that we can share. So we want all the pages to have a header. And these pages are movies and movie details. They also have, we've used Bootstrap and a Google font. We want to move that stuff into the header. The other thing we want in our header is a navigation bar. And we can use some of the Bootstrap documentation to give us a simple nav bar. So if I go and look at the nav bar documentation on the Bootstrap site, we'll want a nav bar. I'll put the link in the chat. Something like this, a basic navigation bar that we can then customize. So we want to create a header, and then we want to require that header on all our pages. Okay, so our header not only will include a navigation bar like this, but it'll include things like our CSS and Google font links. And that way they can be shared among all the pages. So if we want to change something in the header, we only have to go to our header file. We don't have to go and make those changes on every single page, which is not scalable or a good use of time. I'm going to close up all our files, and we are going to make a new file called header.php. So this is going to live at the top of every page. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up my movies page for a moment, and I'm going to take all the code from the first line from the doc type all the way down to the body. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that out of here. I'm going to remove it from the movies page. And I'm going to put all that HTML in my header instead. Okay, so you notice there's no closing tag for the body or the HTML. Your code editor might complain about this. That's okay, we don't care. So now I'm going to go back to my movie. I'm going to save this file. So there's our header. And I'll go back to the movies page. And now I'm going to open at the very top a set of PHP tags. And I'm going to use require. So we're now dividing our file, that we're moving that header off into its own file that we can include on all of our pages. If I go back and refresh my browser, the page should look exactly the same. Okay, so we're just dividing. Whoops, that's not the right page. It's this one. Oh, please don't go offline, AWS. Well, Belinda, unfortunately, that's the nature of building web applications. I mean, very few websites are 4 or 5 files. Right? That not only do we have individual pages, but then we typically divide each reusable component into its own file. And if I go and show you like a real world application, let me go and find a client site, for example. So here's a client site. I'm not sure if it'll tell me how many, right? Look at all the files and folders, and then inside each folder, I mean, there's probably 500 pages in this site. That's the nature of web applications. You're not going to build. Yeah, we could use folders, but this site is simple enough that I don't think we need folders at this point. I mean, the other thing we could do, I suppose, if we want to organize, okay, there's one way we could organize this a little more. Any components that are shared, like our header, we could put those in a separate folder. So maybe we'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to move this. So I'll make a new folder. And what's common is to make a folder that's either called shared, or we might make a folder called includes. If I move my header into the includes, that way at least you would know. So I'm going to move it. And then I need to change the path here. So my path is going to be so any shared components we can put in the includes directory. We could do the same thing with our database file. If you want, we could move that. But then again, we've got to change all of the paths. Couldn't remember whether we included the database file. I guess we did. So now I need to go into, well, I'm going to have to go into all my pages anyway. Okay, didn't like our path. Okay. So if you like, you can we'll put our shared components. So if you make a footer, then you can put it in includes as well. So we're not totally disorganized. If we go and look at our folder in Windows, here are our main files, our main pages. We've got our CSS organized here, JavaScript here, and any shared files will go in. So Belinda, thank you for the suggestion. It is going to get bigger. Yeah, we could move like genres and movies. You could create subfolders for those if you wanted to as well. Now let's do the same thing on our movie details as well. So I'm going to do a couple of things here on movie details. Yes, Hamid, because there's PHP code. I see. So could this technically be an HTML file? It could be, but we will change it, and I'll show you why. This is going to be, we are going to use a bit of PHP in here. So I'm just going to modify my movie details, and then we're going to take a break. So again, I'm going to take out a few things here. I'm going to take out everything from line 15. So my PHP tag will now be the first tag. So we'll require our header. So we no longer need all the HTML at the top. We need to change this path where we're requiring the database. Again, it's now in the includes directory. And I've got to make two changes down below. Yeah, I will put all of this up on GitHub in a moment. So we've replaced our header, changing the path to my database file. The body tag I'm going to get rid of because that body tag is in the header now. The opening body tag is in my header. So I don't need a body tag in here. And then down inside the dropdown, again, where we're linking to our database file, one more time, I'm changing the path to point to the includes directory. So I won't see any changes in my browser. Page is going to look the same. And if I view the source, notice it's one complete page. So all of this HTML comes from the header, and then everything else is in my movie details page. So it looks like a complete page at runtime, but it's actually two separate pages running together. Okay, it's 8:54. I am going to upload this code to GitHub. So if you're a bit behind, you can check the Git repository. I'll just remove this for a moment. Lesson 9, part 1. So start header. Okay, so I mean, we will deal with that when we come back. We have a header file, but there's nothing in it. So we're gonna put some stuff in it, and that is gonna require us to use some PHP. So we will take a 10-minute break. Code is on GitHub if you need to reference it. I'm gonna go brew a coffee, and we'll be back in 10 minutes.